With 1 week left for these players to earn their jobs on the New York Jets, who are the risers and fallers after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we're going to be going over and having the discussion about who are the New York Jets that have risen and their stock is going up, and whose stock went down after the preseason game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got 5 risers and 4 fallers. We're going to start with the risers and end with the risers and go there. And the first player that stock actually started going up is Jason Brownlee. Jason Brownlee has been a camp favorite wide receiver amongst fans, amongst the coaching staff, and everybody involved in the building. But the problem was that we never really saw Jason Brownlee do anything or amount to anything in the games. Now, how much of that is because of the quarterback play or the inefficiency of the offensive line? Well, that's a question for other people to ask and other people to have those conversations. But Jason Brownlee targeted 6 times in the last game, caught 4 passes for 50 yards, was incredibly efficient, and that's something that you love to see, and his stock continues to rise. The real problem is that the New York Jets offensive room is really, really crowded, but guys like Jason Brownlee, Xavier Gibson, and Malik Taylor are making the decision on whether or not to carry the 6th wide receiver and who the 6th wide receiver should be incredibly difficult. Now, sticking to the offense, someone whose stock absolutely plummeted in last night's game was Bam Knight. Unfortunately, it seemed like after the New York Jets went out and signed Dalvin Cook, we all kind of figured out who was going to be on the outs in terms of the running back room, and that's Bam Knight. And it showed up in his play. He was playing like a man who knew he wasn't, who was on his last week of having a job on an NFL roster and was trying to do anything to prove that he deserved to be on a roster. And it just didn't work out in his favor. Sloppy running, sloppy special teams, sloppy blocking, sloppy in the passing game, just really sloppy play from Bam, and something that we're not really used to seeing from him. He was a fan favorite coming out of camp last year. Everyone thought, oh, he's for sure going to make the roster. I didn't see it at that time. But once he did get elevated, he shut me up, and I started becoming a believer, and it's really sad to see the performance that he put up in yesterday's game. Now moving back on to the offensive line, now moving on to the offensive line for the next couple of players. We're going to talk about another riser, and you know I wasn't going to go on a video without talking about my main man, Makai Becton. Becton showed us in that game that he is ready to play football. He stacked a really good game that the New York Jets had, obviously, against the Carolina Panthers, where he played 27 snaps at left tackle and was absolutely phenomenal in that game. And then he said, basically, okay, I'm willing to play the right tackle spot. Right tackle spot's up in the air. Switches over on like the last day of practice, plays 25 snaps at right tackle against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and absolutely dominates. He's about to open up a bed and breakfast. That's how many pancakes he served during that game. He shouldn't be giving that stuff up for free. He should be charging couples to see those pancakes because it was phenomenal. And if he doesn't get reps with the ones this week in practice, this team is unserious about getting the best offensive 5 that they can, because Makai Becton definitely deserves to be in that conversation for starting right tackle for week 1. We should be serious about protecting Aaron Rodgers, and this is a move that a serious team would make with a guy with this much potential. Sticking onto the offensive line, we're going to talk about a faller, and it hurts for me to put this guy's name out here, but it's Max Mitchell. Max Mitchell didn't have a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but just did not show us enough in that game. Playing out of position at left tackle in terms of the competition that he's in, did not show us enough in terms of really being able to compete for the right tackle job. If it was up to me, I think that the best decision right now is to keep Max Mitchell at left tackle all throughout camp this week and let Billy Turner and Makai Becton battle it out for the right tackle spot, because Max Mitchell has been, in my eyes, relegated to a backup role, needs another year to sit and develop, and then we can retry this competition to see if we've got a starting tackle next year, because right now something's going on with his development. He hasn't taken the step that he needs to, and with us inching closer towards week 1, we can't keep messing around with Max Mitchell and his development. He's a backup. We know he's a backup, so let him play left tackle with the ones all week long in place of Dwayne Brown while we're waiting for him to come back, and let Billy Turner and Max Mitchell and Makai Becton go at it at the right tackle, which leads me to my next riser, which is Billy Turner. Billy Turner actually had a really good game at right tackle for the New York Jets. We haven't been able to see Billy Turner do all of that much in terms of positive play for the New York Jets at all, and he is a big concern and a big problem to why I'm pushing Makai Becton so much. But he had an absolutely phenomenal game yesterday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and goes to show why he was probably leading to be the favorite to be the starting right tackle before Makai Becton entered the conversation. It's starting to make a little bit more sense. They're more comfortable with him and his veteran presence, and if he can play like he did yesterday for 17 games, well, that's a pretty solid performance and a pretty solid right tackle for the New York Jets. I still think that Makai Becton should win that job, but the conversation in the offensive line just became a little bit more easily swallowable, I guess is the best thing to say, because if somebody goes down, Billy Turner should be a quality backup to be able to come in and step in case of that emergency. And with Makai Becton being able to play the left and the right side at an extremely high level, you could just move him over to the left side if Dwayne Brown gets hurt. And if Makai gets hurt, well, Billy Turner can play right tackle. That's where he competed for all camp, and we should be okay at the offensive line. Billy Turner had a phenomenal game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His stock definitely went up. Next player whose stock went down is Tim Boyle. I didn't think that Tim Boyle's stock could go any further than it actually was, but somehow he managed to do it. He looked absolutely abysmal in the game. 13 of 24 for 106 yards and an interception. Just wasn't good, period. And when you're looking at a guy who's going to sit on the practice squad and be the, that third quarterback in case of emergencies, blah, 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 I get it. You're not looking for all of this out of this world exceptional play. I get that's not a realistic standard to set, but man, people wanted Tim Boyle to be QB2 over Zach Wilson, and I just never saw it. And yesterday proved again why that should not be a thing at all. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball for a riser, we're going to talk about safety Ashton Davis. Ashton Davis has been on the hot seat for a lot of Jets fans for some time now, and this team has been insistent on keeping him because of his raw athletic ability, and I totally get it. The guy is an insane athlete, probably the best athlete that we have on the team. That being said, he just couldn't play the safety position well enough. The angles that he would take, what he would do in cover, it just wasn't good enough. Yesterday, he was good enough. His angle of pursuits was incredible. He was all over the field, led the team with tackles for losses with 3, had 5 solo tackles, 7 total tackles, just was everywhere, and really made what I thought was going to be and should be an easy decision on who safety 4 should be a really, really difficult one, finally showing us that maybe that athleticism has clicked and that maybe he can actually play safety in the NFL. The last faller of the episode is going to be Kenny Yeboah, and it's not because of anything that Kenny Yeboah did, but it's more the fact that Kenny Yeboah didn't do. Kenny Yeboah didn't show up in the game at all, didn't appear to be an impactful player at all, and when you've got guys like Zach Kuntz, who had a relatively decent game, 3 catches, 18 yards, really bad holding penalty, but seemed to be willing to play in the blocking game, was willing and able in the special teams play. To see Zach targeted more than Kenny and all of this, and Kenny's not like a bad player in my eyes, and Zach's not a riser. I don't think he did anything to improve or to lower his stock. He just kind of stayed the same, but at least you noticed Zach Kuntz, and not just because he's an insanely huge human being. It's because he was utilized, and Kenny just wasn't. You didn't realize when Kenny was on the field, and that sucks for Kenny, because he's competing for a job, and it seems like the rookie is going to beat him out. And the last riser of the episode, a guy that I am absolutely in love with, should make this team. I want him to make this team. Carry 5 safeties if you have to. It's Trey Dean, the undrafted free agent out of Florida. 10 total tackles, 9 of them being solo, 2 of them being tackled for losses. Excellent performances in the passing game and in the run game. Excellent performance for special teams. This kid's got it. I don't know what it is, but he can ball out. And with his really rare combination of size and speed and athleticism, he can play all over that defensive back, all over the back 7. You can play him at free safety. You can play him at strong safety. You can play him as a safety linebacker hybrid in the box, in coverage. I would feel comfortable with playing Trey Dean in a bunch of different places and keeping him on this team, stashing him for a year of development to maybe take over for Jordan Whitehead's job next year, and having a safety room of Tony Adams and Trey Dean making under $2 million combined is something that you can sign me up for, because I think that Tony Adams has got it, and I was a Tony Adams truther early, and Trey Dean is a guy that I wanted the New York Jets to draft in the late rounds, and they got him as an undrafted free agent. I love this kid. He should make the team. Let me know whose stock you thought went up in the comment section below. Let me know whose stock you thought went down in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.